Florida. Mr. Jolly for 30 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to address the House this evening, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue a conversation that was started by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle tonight. Listen, there is a future in this body that hopefully is going to look a lot different than what it's looked like in past decades. I would fully concur. Government should work. We should keep the government open. But we also must defend the Constitution. And that is the paradox that we are faced with this week. And I rise with some frustration on my side of the aisle, what I have seen from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in recent days. I have seen speeches upon speeches upon speeches about a partial shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. I've seen big signs in the well of this House scaring the American people about a potential partial shutdown. I've seen press conferences across the country, including in my hometown of the Tampa Bay area, scaring the American people about something that has not yet happened. Recognize all of these speeches, all of these signs are coming not from members of our community, not from the people who elected us, but these speeches, these signs, this sky is falling mentality is coming from our elected leaders, from members of this body. And why does that matter? Why do I rise tonight to continue the conversation started by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle? It's because all we are hearing is speeches, and all we are seeing are signs. We are not hearing solutions. This body, this entire body, both sides of the aisle, our constitutional authority was infringed upon when the President signed his executive order. That's not a partisan issue. We have a responsibility to confront that constitutional overreach. And so, yes, one mechanism we used to do that was the power of the purse. That is a fundamental power of this body, the power of the purse. And it's appropriate that we responded to the President's unconstitutional overreach by exercising our constitutional privilege, that of the appropriations process. But here's what I would point out to the American people tonight about the speeches that they hear from my friends and colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Recognize something very important. What is being presented in the midst of this debate over the constitutional overreach of the President is merely an all-or-nothing approach. It is either we pass a clean bill, and as the leader on the other side said, he will deliver 188 votes if we pass a clean bill, or it's nothing. Friends, colleagues, that is not legislating. That is using the bully pulpit. That's politics. That's not legislating. And so what I would ask tonight is, where are the solutions? Where is the conviction on the other side of the aisle? Where are the efforts to pass a bill that accommodates all members of this body, members on the other side, and yes, something the President can sign? You see, I'm actually a member of Congress who thinks the first priority of this body is to fund the government and to fund the Department of Homeland Security. I'm looking to work with colleagues on the other side of the aisle to say, how do we do that? We have a responsibility to do that. I have 3 Coast Guard installations in my district, men and women who, it is absolutely true when it's talked about, will have to go to work Saturday morning with only the promise to be paid later. That is wrong. That is a failure of this Congress if we let that happen. So we do have until Friday evening to solve this, and I believe we will. But I'm asking actually for accommodation and cooperation from the other side of the aisle. What will it take? What will it take? Think about this. Rather than putting signs on the floor, rather than condemning our side of the aisle for trying to respond to the constitutional overreach of the President, what if we talk about provisions that will actually build consensus and get a majority of this body, regardless of Republican, Democrat, Independent, whoever you are, that funds the Department of Homeland Security and also responds to the constitutional overreach of the President? I think we can get there. You know what I've never heard from the other side of the aisle? What if we remove the funding prohibition in the original House bill that prohibited implementation, further exercise of DACA? They criticize it. So if we remove it, does that get us the votes to pass a bill? I understand there's disagreement over the president's executive order last September. I think it was wrong. Members on the other side don't. A federal judge has said it's unconstitutional. The President of the United States said over 20 times he didn't have the authority to do it, and yet he did it. What if we allowed 6 months to let the courts work its will? It's perfectly reasonable. If you're a member of this Congress who stood up on opening day and took the oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States, to defend and protect the obligation of your office, why don't we agree upon a six-month delay in the implementation of the President's executive order, an executive order a federal judge has already put a hold on? Does that get us there? Does that get us the votes necessary? Because what my colleagues on the other side of the aisle tonight said is absolutely true. Congress should work. Congress should govern. The American people should expect that of all of us. It doesn't matter our partisan affiliation. But it does matter whether or not we truly exercise the convictions that we pontificate about on the floor here tonight. It's not about signs. It's not about the bully pulpit. It's not about press conferences. Any member who stands up here tonight, Republican or Democrat, and says that we will be worse off as a nation Friday night if we have not funded the Department of Homeland Security is absolutely right. We must fund the government. But where is the effort on the other side of the aisle to actually reach a compromise? It's not there. I promise you, I have watched my colleagues from the time I got here this week, every speech. The leader on the other side of the aisle made an impassioned speech about the importance of funding Homeland Security, and he's right. But my question is this: when will you abandon your all-or-nothing approach? Because exactly what you criticize this side of the aisle for is exactly the type of behavior that my colleagues on the other side are engaging in as well. We have failed the American people if we let that lack of cooperation overtake this body and lead us off a cliff Friday night. So my question to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle is who's willing to step forward with a proposal that gets us there as a body? Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the time this evening. I look forward to ensuring that our Department of Homeland Security is fully funded come Friday night. I yield back. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, yield.